Okay, so you raised SEL, and I don't fully understand it. Can you explain why SEL might not be enough of what we need in the classroom?
Because SEL, in my training and my understanding, is about checking in with yourself and who you are in a situation, right? You're in the grocery store line and the little old lady in the front of you is counting out pennies, and you need to be somewhere and you want to be like, jumping out of your skin, right? Check in with yourself, right? Or a colleague says something to me in passing that I interpret as offensive, or a student comes up to me and says, why did I get that answer wrong? And then they're yelling at me because they're anxious, right? It's not about me. That's what SEL is, checking in like that. But it doesn't say, SEL does not tell me, like, for instance, in the last example, it doesn't tell us how to bring that person into the fold and help decrease their anxiety about their grades or whatever. It's really me making sure, and there's going to get a lot of play on SEL because it's me making sure that I don't want to bring a gun to school, right? That's, that it's like, there's that, right? And that's assuming that everyone has the skills to check in with themselves when they're frustrated, aggravated, anxious, overwhelmed, so on, that they even have the skills for that. Community leadership to me is everybody is supporting each other so that a student who is having anxiety or remorse or whatever and needs to feel powerful can turn to the group and say, I need help. SEL does not really teach people how to ask, I need help. In my training so far, and I've had lots of those trainings, right? I need help. And to look over at the other person and say, like the little old lady counting the pennies who's worried about her money, right? It doesn't, SEL doesn't tell us how to help like that.
So if the students in the classroom were in a community, then perhaps one would notice that someone needed help as well. They wouldn't always have to ask. They would be aware of one another.
Correct. Right. So you're sitting next to someone who is having a hard time understanding the work that the teacher is teaching. Okay. One teacher, 30 kids. In community leadership, you learn that you need to be looking at your neighbor to see if they have everything that they need, so that we're working as a community, as a group, and no one is left out. How about the kid whose language skills are developing, right? They're Spanish and they're learning English or whatever's the case. Then someone next to them checks in with them. Are you okay? Right? That's what community leadership, part of what community leadership is in the classroom.
That's the empowering part, a group of all leaders. So it does take some of the onus off the teacher. And
there are so many that this is a way to increase. This is a way to decrease teacher burnout, because I know that every two people sitting at a lab table is checking in with each other. I don't have to be doing it, right? I don't have to be doing it. And just think of the liaisons that are being formed when you're sitting next to someone who you really don't, a lot of times you don't even know them, right? I'm checking on you. I'm showing some caring, right? Oh, no, you need to be on that page, or pointing. Like I went to a church service on Sunday to talk about our tutoring program. And it was funny because they were in the Bible, right? I was completely lost, right? But I was sitting by myself. Otherwise I could have looked over and maybe the person would have turned the page for me and pointed where they were. I was completely lost. I spent the time worried about, where are we? right?
And
So-
we don't want students to be feeling like that.
No, right? And then they walk away from the lesson and they're like, I don't know what happened. And many times they feel like they're not part of the community if they don't know where we're at. And they could not make, it could be that they don't know where we're at because they're distracted by something that happened at home or in the hallway or with a previous teacher, or, you know, they didn't get a chance, you know, or they didn't get breakfast that morning and it's now 11:30 and they're watching the clock because lunchtime is in 15 minutes, right? And if somebody can help them stay on course, but what we teach, the SEL curriculum does not teach that. It talks about how not to be rageful. Well, that's again, all self-focused.